You are not bad because you fail. You become bad because you quit. As a teenager, I would say that poverty was good for me because poverty made me realize that wealth is the only way. If you have to quit at all, quit when you win, so that the last version of you is pleasant. Capital means your head, and if you can use your head, you can go ahead. Maybe one of these days I will go for governorship. Profit is insane. Cash flow is sanity. You can't live your life based on profit. You can only live your life based on cash flow. If you want to be funded, you have to be findable. So many businesses are not fundable because they are not findable. After the salvation of your soul, the next thing you need is economic salvation. And so many people do not know how to fix that. So in every difficulty, there's an opportunity. Just ask God to open your eyes.
Mr. Tade,
right.
Thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you.
In this entrepreneurial journey, how did you get started and how did you get to this point?
All right, so thank you very much for that. I remember vividly, if my memory still remains intact, that I started my entrepreneurial journey as a teenager.
Okay.
You know, I was 13 precisely. You know, I was playing football with my guys on the street, you know, street football. And I remember that when we do street footballs, especially those days where you will have a long holidays, that would be like 2 months.
Right.
And then in the course of those holidays, I'm very skillful with football, and then I realized that it's not enough for us to just play footballs. Why individuals not have a team? And so I sold the idea. I never knew there was something called selling or persuasion, but I persuaded. In reflection, I realized I persuaded all the young guys in my area that everybody should have a team. And as a result of that, they decided to have a team. And I said, now that you have a team, we should have a winner. So if you have a team and we're going to have a winner, you need to bring money so that each of your team brings money, and the best team will go out with something. And everybody decided to give money. Now I also form my own team without giving money. That's what I realized. You can also start business without money. So because as a teenager, I put everybody together, and then my house becomes like Jerusalem or Mecca of a sort. People come every single day. And you know, the undoing of that is that my father is a scholar, is the head of a school, and he was wondering, what are these young boys coming to do in our house every single day? Everybody's looking for me. My name becomes a redeem. You know, so my first idea of entrepreneurship started as a teenager. You know, I was just very curious. I have a virtue that can also be a vice. I was very stubborn, you know, and as a result of that stubbornness just made me want to do things. So the last time I remembered, that's how I started entrepreneurial. I was very entrepreneurial as a teenager. So I moved from that point to start going. I started selling bread for my mom. I started hawking because we grew up in one room, you know, just one room, not room and parlor, not apartment, just a room, you know, and then there's a single room with a lot of league of tenants living in the same environment.
One they will call face me and face you.
Yeah, face me and trouble. You know, so the point is we were there, and so my mother was a petty trader, and she started selling all sort of stuff. And as the youngest of the house, I will have to also hawk bread, you know. So I know pretty well some larger part of the mainland of Lagos because I knew this area because I hawked bread for almost 10 years of my life as a young boy, 8-10 years, you know, working for my mom. And all those days, I also learned how to serve customers because my sister does not like entrepreneurial side at all. So most of the time I'm the one that will be there, and then I will be reading my school books with a lantern on the road, you know, and then I will sell bread till like 11 p.m. And as a teenager, when I was 16, I started going to work in a bakery with my elder brother being the manager of the bakery. And then I would work there at night. I would go to school in the morning, you know, and so it was building me, the resilient part of me, and at the same time I have to read my school books because I know that I can't write exam twice. Nobody's going to pay for it, you know. So as a result of that, I was just living that life. And then unknown to me, I was building the energy, I was building the skill set, I was building the resilience, I was building the ability to know that to win in life is not an option, it's a necessity. So I was literally developing those things as a teenager. I would say that poverty was good for me because poverty made me realize that wealth is the only way. Yeah. That's how I started.
I know you're the Chief Executive Officer for Wet Island Properties.
Yeah.
Tell us what you do there and how you started Wet Island Properties.
So Wet Island Properties started almost 15 years ago, and it started because I would say it started coincidentally, because before Wet Island I was just a guy that was big on sales. I was just selling books, but then I wanted to scale. I wanted to make money. I mean, legally, morally, without violating any moral code. I met a guy in the bookstore, and he said to me that he's looking for a book to buy, and then I recommended some books to him, and he bought the book, and then we became friends. And as a result of that, he called me up one day and he said he's looking at starting an idea. And I said, what idea is that? He said he wanted to start a real estate company, and he would like me to be a partner. And I said, okay, why not? What was on my mind then was not even the money. Despite the fact, remember I told you I wanted to be rich, and so I decided to start, and they make me the director of marketing. And then the business did so well, in the space of 1 year. I made a lot of money as well. And then one of my partners decided to go his own way. I wouldn't say he decided to be greedy, but decided to go his own way. And then I stepped out of the business. I traveled out of the country for a few weeks, and then I came back, and then I said, what else am I going to be doing now? And then I decided to start Wet Island Properties, popularly known as Whip Africa. Okay. And then we started. We started outside of Lagos, and we started growing the business, and the business started moving, started acquiring assets for people, and my first 1 year was a shock, because after 24 months of running the business, I was gullible, and then I paid for an asset that is worth almost like 200 million. I never knew that the woman had swindled my money. And then I never, 2 years into running my own show, I was in trouble. It was like a nightmare, and I could not even tell all my team at work. Sometimes I even take time off work. I started staying, I live in a very big house at the time, and I just stayed in the old building myself, like a mansion, and I was wondering, where am I going to go from here? Literally, as if all the money I've made, that I was just trying to expand myself. Customers are counting on me. Now the money I've made to be able to expand, I've been paid for an asset, and the woman cannot be found. I took it, I went to Abuja, police people came to Lagos, and in the process, that process was corrupted. I could not lay my hands on the woman absconded, and then I started wondering, what am I going to do from here? And that led me to creating another product, because one day I was just thinking, I was just meditating, and I was asking, what am I going to do from here? And I heard a voice that said to me, he said, you have to use your problem to solve your problem. And so if you have a money problem, you have to use money to solve it. So create bigger money than the money problem that you have. And that became my solution, and then I created a new product. Remember, I did not even have money to buy the product because all major part of my money has been taken away, and so I created a product, I negotiated, and suddenly we put it out there. One of my marketing guys called me that there's someone somewhere that would love to buy this product, and the lady was not in Lagos. The lady just sent me money. She sent me at that time, maybe almost 50 years ago, sent me 20 million, and that 20 million became another seed capital for me. And then we moved, So in the course of starting Whip Africa, we faced a series of challenges, but one thing that I've come to realize that you are not bad because you fail. You become bad because you quit. So when you understand that, is the fact that the last version of you must not be when you fail. If you have to quit at all, quit when you win, so that the last version of you is pleasant.
Right.
So many times, that's the philosophy that governs my life. And so when Whip Africa has gone through different phases, like now we are on a different phase. We're now in different African countries. We're expanding massively, trying to make sure that we do what we are called to do. But when we started Whip Africa was not about money, because I'd never had money when I started, but I have capital. And for me, because I come to realize that capital means your head. And if you can use your head, you can go ahead. And so I use my head, and then I'm able to create things. I've never been of opinion that the reason why I will not do something is because of lack of money. Because if money is the only problem that I have, I don't have a problem, I have an expenses. And so as a result of that, money, if I don't do anything, it's not because of money. Maybe I don't want to do it. But if money is the only reason why I'm not doing something, that's not a good excuse. So it has never been a delay for me. When I started, I don't have money. So when I lost money at the time, the reason why I never get out of the scene was because I didn't allow the money that I lost to stop me. Because I discovered that even when I started, I didn't have the money.
Right.
The only thing now is that there are now other people that are counting on me.
Right.
There are other people that I also need to deliver to.
Right.
And you know, when you become a business and an entrepreneur, you're also a business leader.
Right.
Because customers are looking up to you. And you know, in a society where we live, where people already are suspicious one way or the other, if something goes wrong in what you're doing, it can lead to people saying, "Oh, maybe they have squandered our money," and you know, and all of those things. So it could be tough. And to be candid, it could be tough. And that's why I said, if you want to be successful in business, you must have a gift. And the gift is called thick skin. Because without the gift of thick skin, you can't do well. People are going to call you names. Some people are going to call you fraudulent. But make sure that your motive is clear. Those that when you are alone and when you are sleeping, you can look at the ceiling and you can tell yourself that, am I really a criminal? Am I really a fraudster? And then the answer will come to you. If the answer is a yes, then go and work on your character. If the answer is a no, go and rectify the issues that is on ground. Don't take it personal. And that is what it is for me. So we started with Africa and we have grown. You know, we have had challenges. We have now we have projects in some of the biggest projects on the mainland of Lagos. Belongs to us, and so we are happy. You know, we focus more on the mainland. We do island as well, but we're working on a project in VI now. You know, but we are more of a mainland guy.
Awesome.
All right.
amazing story behind how Whip Africa started. Where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from God. I live on the planet Earth. And so my parents, I'm born in Lagos. I've lived all my life here. But my parents, my father and my mom are not from Lagos. Okay. But I can boldly say I'm a Lagosian. Maybe one of these days I will go for governorship. Okay. But I'm in Lagos. I'm a Lagos boy. I'm born here. I'm raised. I'm a Yoruba guy. I've lived all my life here, 40-something years. The point is, I was raised by parents that are both petty traders and school teacher. And my father is a school teacher that ended up becoming an headmaster. My mother is an auxiliary nurse that ended up becoming a petty trader. Youngest of 6, and I started making money early. I make my first $1 million before I was 28. So I've been exposed to money, not because my parents have money, but because I made up my mind, and I tell people that early is cheap, late is expensive. But that's how it is. If I want to come to this world again, the only thing is that I would still like to come through my parents, but I would just want to do better on time. One of the best decisions of my life is to explore the continent of Africa. The first level of wealth that you must have is what I call cash flood. And the second level of wealth that you must have is now cash flow. And the third level of wealth you must have is what I call future cash flow. In the kind of business that we run, one of the downsides of so many people is that they always run out of cash. Business is about cash flow. I tell people I don't sell house, I don't sell land, I only sell time. Cash flow for me is what business is all about. So anyone doing well in projects in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, it's not just the project they are selling that's making them do well. They have figured out how to get funding to do the project. Real estate is sweet in Nigeria. It's not a doubt, especially if you live in Lagos. It's very interesting, but it's also very stressful. And so I've explored other African nations, and I see that I can make 3x, 5x of some of the money that I make in Lagos there with less stress.
Tell us about being king of everything.
There are 3 levels of wealth that everybody must have. The first level of wealth that you must have is what I call cash flood. Cash flood. It's like a flood. And the second level of wealth that you must have is now cash flow. And the third level of wealth you must have is what I call future cash flow. And because I realized that profit is insane, cash flow is sanity. You can't live your life based on profit. You can only live your life based on cash flow. When I started business, I was a profit guy. And one day I have a lot of assets and I needed, let's say, 50 million. And my asset could not instantly be converted to 50 million. And then I realized that having all of these assets in billions and I cannot just quickly access 50 million is insane. Then I repented. I have a radical change of attitude. Then I said, oh, I would like to begin to have properties that can fund my life. And so we changed the model of our business to then building everything from different angles. So everyday life of my business, every day the salary, the life that I want to live should be funded by cash flow. So what did we do? We started by creating an asset that can do that. Because we wanted to create cash flow, we decided to borrow properties. We started borrowing properties and leasing properties. And as a result of that, we rebuild it. We call it repositioning in our own language. And then we started making money. So we started generating, 20 million, 40 million from rental properties. We started growing it to, hundreds of millions in rental properties. Why do we do that? Because we realized that in the kind of business that we run, one of the downsides of so many people is that they always run out of cash. They could have money today and tomorrow the guy is broke. Not hypothetically, he's broke. So the point is, but you need cash flow to run your life every day. So they call me king of cash flow because I've traveled around the world to emphasize one thing, that business is about cash flow. You must have cash flow in your business. So I run a real estate company today that focuses on freedom lifestyle. I tell people I don't sell house, I don't sell land, I only sell time. Cash flow for me is what business is all about. So I tell people you must be able to have a model in your business that creates a predictable income. So that it's not dependent on, you can't hire good people without predictable income. You can't hire good people on capital gain. You're going to pay people every month. So what pays you every month? You're going to be, and many a time I see that people don't talk about that, even people that run businesses. So today, for us, we're buying buildings all around the world, in South Africa, in Lesotho, in Botswana, in Namibia, in Cote d'Ivoire. What we're doing that, we're buying buildings that can pay us every single month. All right, we need cash flow, man. We need to have billions of cash flow because I want to make people rich, and both my investors and my team members. And I can't do that without cash flow. And so that's why I'm called King of Cash Flow. I've written a book on it, Real Estate Cash Flow Machine. I'm working on a new book as called Freedom There, and I help people to generate cash flow for life. All right, so that's me. I believe that no matter the business we're running, cash flow is king. You must create cash flow, either in real estate, either in your life, yes.
Tell us the benefit of expanding one's tentacles to other African countries.
One of the best decisions of my life is to explore the continent of Africa. All right, real estate is sweet in Nigeria, and it's not a doubt, especially if you live in Lagos. It's very interesting, but it's also very stressful. And so I've explored other African nations, and I see that I can make 3x, 5x of some of the money that I make in Lagos there with less stress. And so what I tell people is that our name is called Whip Africa. We have two companies, Whip Africa, Whip Global. So what basically that represents for me is that I explore Africa a lot. I'm right now, I have presence in Lesotho, in Botswana, in South Africa, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Ghana, in Namibia, As at the moment, we are trying to explore Rwanda. So our goal is that in the next 1 decade, we are going to be in 30 African countries, including Nigeria. So, and because why that? Some of the things that we have learned in Nigeria, it's more profitable for us where we find ourselves. So we build collaborative businesses in other African countries, and it's very, very good. And now it's helping us to be able to do that. So we do construction and we do rental properties in these countries. Where do we export that from? From Nigeria. So we must learn how to export the good things that we have. Other African nations really idolize us because we are strong, we are resilient. We have a can-do spirit. But most of us don't exploit that opportunity outside of the nation. Some of our colleagues, some people would rather want to go into the white country, the European world. It's fine, but where you can have more opportunities right now, it's Africa. Africa is a big place. Africa is a wonderful place. It's your continent, So I'm looking forward to one of these days, your own company as well will be in all of these African countries. I love Africa. I'm an African guy, So I love Europe. I love America. They're a good country, but I like Africa.
When we started, you said North Africa has been on for about 15 years. I'd like to show you what have been your best win in entrepreneurship for all of this time.
If I have to start my career all over again, one thing that I will focus on is that I will focus on the financing game very well. How to raise money, how to get alternative funding, which is what I'm now doing now. So the point is because There are some ideas that just die in the process. Not because the founder of those ideas are fraudulent or they are bad people, but one thing, they don't have a sufficient fund to keep the idea going. For instance, you're building a house in Nigeria and you're doing down payment. Is that what we call it? You're doing instrumental payment in a country where one of the things that is constant is inflation.
Right.
If you're not careful, your kindness can be taken for a crime. It has happened to me before. You started a construction work and along the way, come on, man, the price of everything has changed. And then you have sold the building, you're still on the work, you have not finished the building. And then people started sending you messages and started sending you mails. Why is it? Some people say, oh man, this is fraudulent. Now the truth of the matter is the building they paid for is now times 3 to be able to deliver it alone. Now, is it their fault? No. You didn't get your financing game right. And I took that blame. Why? Because you need to understand that Nigeria is an inflationary nation. And so in whatever you are setting out, so you need to get the financing. The banking system here don't literally finance projects, as it were. So you need to have alternative financing. You need to get international financing. We have to go for international financing. We have to those are the lessons I learned. In the course of putting all of these things together, I discovered that you need to learn how to get funding for your project. Anyone doing well in projects in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, it's not just the project they are selling that's making them do well. They have figured out how to get funding to do the project. Because if you don't fund the project well, it's not fun. And so those things are key. I learned all of these lessons in the last 15 years, and I've learned that you must not take issues personal. I come from a culture where they will tell you a proverb. The proverb is very interesting. They said, no matter how skillful you are at working, your head must shake. So if you're going into business and you are, one of the things I learned is that mistakes are part of the business. Failures are part of the business, but don't take it personal. Learn the lessons, speak up the lessons, and then pick it up on time. Another thing I learned bigly is that you must learn how to communicate. You must learn how to communicate even when you're in crisis. If you don't know how to do it, develop a system that can do it. So that sometimes people get mad at you, not because you have failed, they get mad at you because they're not acquainted with what is going on. It happened to me. And so you need to be able to communicate with people. You need to be able to give them the details of the issues on ground. If you can't do it, outsource it. Make sure that they are properly communicated to. And lastly, for me in that regard is that don't take your failure personal. Many people, I've seen people that have failed in a project and they have absconded, or sometimes they just go into oblivion. You can't find them again. And sometimes they go into that obscurity and that was the end of their life. No, you fought for a reason. Pick it up, learn your lessons, and then apologize if you have to. But be shameless about going forward. Don't ever let one failure stop you. People are going to call you names, but the interesting part of it, it is only a brand that has a name. So when people call you name, don't let that get to you. Don't let that make you quit what you are doing. Keep moving. Apologize. Humility is part of success. If you are not willing to apologize, you're going to be stranded. But apologize and move on. Even when you apologize and they're still calling you the names, keep moving on. You know what? They're going to catch up later. Those people that criticize you, those people that say you are nobody, they're still going to come back and say, yeah, I like the way this guy came back. Man, this guy, he never allowed failure to stop him. I think I'm learning from him. I've heard people say that to me several times. Why? If you have stopped yourself, that would have been the end of you. So I tell people, you will fail, you'll be criticized, you'll be misunderstood. Some people will leave you. Some people celebrate success, but when you're in the process of moving forward, some people will leave you. Don't take it personal. Bitterness will get you stranded. Just learn the lessons, send a thought of blessings to everyone, and just keep moving on. And these are lessons. 15 years has not been a joke for me. I've seen people go, I've seen people leave, but we keep getting better. And so we're in a different phase of our business right now. We're in a different phase. We've divided the business into different space, but it's important that going forward, people need to know what they stand for. You can't be everything to everyone. Right? Some people do projects everywhere. I don't like doing projects everywhere. I pick my battles, I pick my fights, and I love it. I'm a mainland guy. Doesn't mean I don't do island projects. I do. I do so few projects here, but I'm a mainland guy because I know that mainland is the future. Because empire empires are built on two legs, education and execution. People don't treat you the way you are. People treat you the way they are. You need to have a personal brand beside your business brand. People need to see you. People need to know you. People need to see your face. People need to know what you stand for. I don't love real estate. I only love what real estate can do for me. So what happens is that if you stop doing it, I hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. You're an investor because you buy land. You're an investor because you use land to make sure that land take you somewhere. Yes, you know, when I was growing up, I always thought that if somebody invited you to a police station, maybe you're a criminal. And because it's not everybody that works that gets wealthy. Everybody must work to be wealthy.
What would you say has been the most critical challenge you faced in your journey so far?
Yes, you know, when I was growing up, I always thought that if somebody invited you to a police station, maybe you're a criminal. You know, or if somebody said they serve you a court file,
yes,
you're a criminal. I like a very quiet life. It's funny to know that. That's why when I'm a public speaker, I can be in a old building for weeks without coming out and without inviting anybody, and I will be fine. All right, but you know, business brought me out, and then I have to do it. And sometimes a little bit of misunderstanding here and there. You'll be invited into police to come and settle matters. You show up, you know, you spend money. My lawyers, we go to court and say somebody invited you. Some of the cases are so nonsense. You'll be wondering, what kind of case is this one? Okay, but I learned that those are very, very part of the business, you know. And a friend of mine said something to me one time. He said, Tade, if you want to do big things, you must know that these things are just part of the business. Don't take it personal, you know. And another thing that I've learned is when the people that you trusted, the people that you spend a lot of money on, the people that you spend abroad, you invested in them, you send them on a training, and then they came back and they absconded. You know, it could be like, you're wondering like, am I on another planet now? Or something is wrong with me? You know, but those moments helped me to redefine my philosophy for life. That people don't treat you the way you are. People treat you the way they are. And for the part that somebody have done bad to you, does not mean you should be doing bad. Because if somebody have done bad to you and you start doing bad not because they have done bad to you. You start doing bad because bad is inside you and they just help you to activate it. Friends that you have helped all your life can abscond you as part of life. The friends that you have helped to give them leverage, when you need them most, they may not be there. It's part of life. But it doesn't mean you stop being their friends. But you just be mindful of how you be their friends. Why? Because people don't determine who you are. Let the attitude of people reveal who you are. So that especially when people don't expect you to do good to them, that's when you show up. Oh, give me a guy. I don't like what you have done, but you know, so it was critical for me. The game of people was critical to me. I'm a perfectionist in a way. I like when we say things are like this, but life is not like that. Your personality can stop your prosperity because you can be so gentle that sometimes you think because you are gentle, big things are not for you. And so you say, man, I don't like this trouble. I don't like this problem. No, you learn how to solve the problem. Yeah, stay out of the one you can stay out of. But realize that it's part of the deal. Yeah, surround yourself with the people that can handle the issues for you. It's some of my biggest moments. It's some of my, toughest moments as well. Because there are some problems I faced that I thought was going to crush me, and then they gave me the biggest leverage of my life. And so I realized that there is always a two sides to a slice of bread. So in every difficulty, there's an opportunity. Just ask God to open your eyes to be able to see the opportunity in your difficulties. But however, some people just let the difficulties, they get carried away with it. And so it's tough for me, but it's also interesting for me at the same time. But if there is anything I've learned in 15 years that is another challenge for me, is that money is not everything, everything is money. You have to figure out money on time. In business, figure out money on time. If you have to have any problem in business, make sure that it's not money related. Because most of the problems in business is money related. But if you have to have any problem in business, make sure it's not money related. And if it's not money related, then your problem will be minimal. Then you can, because most problems can be solved in business if money is not a problem. And so some people problems in business, I'm talking for myself now, some people problem in business were not problems. They were just expenses. And because they have not built that base enough that can help them to be able to solve the problem. So then they begin to see it as if they have a problem. Most people don't have a problem. If you put 10 people down here today now and ask me, and they will begin to talk about the problem, we need to realize they don't have a problem. They just have expenses they have not figured out how to solve. They have not paid my house rent. Is that a problem?
No.
That's not a problem. That's an expenses. My children's school fees have not been sorted. Is that a problem? That's not a problem. That's an expenses. Oh, my car is bad. It's been giving me some issues. The AC is not working. Is that a problem? That's not a problem. That's an expense. So what I tell people is that all that you need is in you. God has given us all things to enjoy, but you must activate it. So problems are good for us because they are the bedrock of civilization if you know how to use them well.
I know you've authored a couple of books.
Yeah.
For everyone watching or will be listening to this show afterwards, where can we get your books?
Okay, so like the book like this, called Real Estate Cash Flow Machine.
Right.
I've written about 8 books. I've written about 8 books, and all the books are about the life that I live, close or lose, and all of that. They can go to Tade Cash, NG, where they can get all my books. They can order on the stores or on Amazon. They follow me on all of the pages, either on Facebook, Tade Cash, official Tade Cash, on Instagram, and my team can help them to get the book. But I write books that help people to change their lives. I think my book has been read in almost 15, 20 countries now. People order from different parts of the world. And it's one of my legacies, the fact that we live in a country, just like the King Edosa show, it's one of my legacies to be able to not just succeed, because empires are built on 2 legs, education and execution. And most people only have one side of empire, execution. They have done well for themselves. They have succeeded. Everybody celebrate them. But you know what? Their success is a mystery to a guy out there. Whereas our success is not supposed to be a mystery, it's supposed to be a tool of mastery.
Right.
Someone else is supposed to be able to pick up your patterns and use them to build their own life. Right. So even when you are dead and you are gone, your life will still be speaking. And that's why I write. That's why I do everything that I do, because I know that my great-grandchildren may not meet me here. All right? They may not meet me here, but the truth of the matter is they will still meet me here. They'll meet me here in the books that I read, the videos that I've made. So for me, it's like a community service. So I've written books on sales, I've written books on closing, I've written books on follow-up, I've written books on all of this, because I believe that every successful person should document their success and show it to the world as your own legacy, so that somebody can pick it up. Your great-grandchildren can pick up a book and read it. And literally, you may not be there physically, but you're speaking to that child, and that guy can change his life because you have lived. I think that's why I write, and that's why I do what I do.
In the course of our discourse, you talked about financing. It's a major challenge. I was about to say major expense. Major expense is a major challenge for business owners, entrepreneurs, not just in real estate, cut across different professions, right? How would you recommend for entrepreneurs to go about financing their business? Now,
one of the things I found out is, I think 2-3 years ago, I was away in Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan to be precise, with one of my strategic partners. And then we're looking at buildings, we're in one of the CBDs, and we're looking at building. I saw this high-rise, I was very fascinated by it, because at that time, I wanted to start an high-rise building. And then I look at the building, and then he asked me a question. He said, how much will it take to build this kind of building? And I gave him an estimate of how much I feel at the time would be the cost of that building. And then he said, if I want to do this kind of building, how am I going to fund it? That was a life-changing question for me, I must tell you. And then I told him, the way I do funding now, I raise private investors, money partners, but that's quite difficult, most of the time. And he said, what about if you can show me, if you can help me to raise money to be able to do that kind of stuff? And then right there on his phone, he opened his phone and he showed me how they just raised 20 million euros. Showed me another one, they just raised 40 million euros for a project in different parts of the country. And I said, why not? And then when I got to my hotel, I could not sleep. And that kind of stuff. You are like, you're having a nightmare now. I went to his room the next day, I knocked at his door and I said, come on, man, he told me something yesterday. How can we do it now? And he said, I should not worry, when we get to Nigeria, he will show me. And then we got to Nigeria and he started showing me. So today we have successfully been able to work on raising funds for our own business. And like I told you, it's become the next vision of my life. So that's the training. I ran one training in Nigeria last year to help people raise money. And we have been able to do that. And so we are doing another one in Cameroon and then in South Africa. And then we do one at the end of the year. We'll call it HFC Africa. It will be in South Africa in Cape Town in October 2025. So one of the things I tell people is that if you want to be funded, you have to be findable. So many businesses are not fundable because they are not findable. People can find you. People can. So at the end of the scenario, you will find that people are just wondering what kind of person you are. I've gone for an investors meeting before that everybody that were there that was supposed to be the investor out of the 3%, 2 of them knows me very well. One knows me, the other one I've ordered for my book on Amazon. He has read it. So when I show up into the room, the lady said, I know you now. I've even bought your books before. So the conversation was easy. At the end of the day, they gave all the money we were looking for. Why? Because I was known in that meeting. But you know, I was not known in that meeting. It could be very difficult because I was raising money for a very, very complex property. So if I want to be getting funding for all of this project, I need to be seen. So I tell people, you need to have a personal brand beside your business brand. You need to be known because this is an age of individualization. You need to be seen. It's not just an age of globalization. It's an age of individualization. People need to see you. People need to know you. People need to see your face. People need to know what you stand for. So that when there is a need for something, tell them the behind the scene of your business. Today, if you go on my social media, I tell people about land with water. I tell them the things that have to do with this land. So that I want people to familiarize themselves with all of those processes. And that's one of the ways to raise money. The other way to raise money is that you need to understand there's what we call international financing. Okay. And this is what many people don't have understanding. That's one of the things I do when I do my shows, I do HFC program. It's about...
HFC stands for what, sir?
Akin Finance Conference.
Great.
Akin Finance Conference, I show people behind the scene of how to raise money in different parts of the world, how to raise money that they don't need to pay back for 25, 30 years. And then we'll teach them how to do it. And then we also take their hands on how they will do it. So they don't do it themselves. We show them, we follow them to the end till they get the money.
What would be your advice to every entrepreneur out there? What's that best advice you've gotten that you'd like to share to any and every entrepreneur out there about entrepreneurship? 2 things. Number one is that you can be broke solving a problem. Okay.
Because you can be solving the wrong problem. That's one of the advice to any entrepreneurs. You need to know what kind of problem are you solving. It's not enough to solve a problem. The proper cliche in town is that if you want to make money, solve a problem. But no, there's an error to that. You can be solving the wrong problem. And you can go broke solving the wrong problem. That's number one. Number 2 is that there are 2 metrics to work. Work can either make you wealthy or work can make you weary. So you have to be clear about the work that you're doing. Is it leading you to wealth or is it leading you to weariness? And because it's not everybody that works that get wealthy. It's not everybody that works that get wealthy. In other words, to the point about everybody must work to be wealthy. So what you need to understand is to be clear about the purpose of your work. So people can wake up in the morning and go to work and say, oh, I'm going to work today and everything is fine. They go to work, they return home, they go to work, they return home, but they can't measure. Where are we leading to? When are we going to get to the point that I call, in my life, I call it deep? When are you going to get to your deep? Your deep is my acronym for damn it position. When are you going to get to your damn it position? Where you don't have to work anymore to fund your life. When are you going to get there? Many people just keep working and they remain in a pit. And that's another word I use. Pit is pursuing income trap. You just keep pursuing income for the rest of your life. It's not leading you anywhere. You have to know, are you still in your pit or you're going to your deep? Now, freedom is about deep, it's not about pit. And that's why I love real estate. That's why you and I love this game. Because one of the fastest ways to get to your deep is to know how to use real estate. Right. You are not an investor because you buy land. You're an investor because you use land to make sure that land take you somewhere.
Right.
So if you understand that, I tell people I don't love real estate, and that shocked people a lot. I don't love real estate. I only love what real estate can do for me. So what happened is that if you stop doing it, I hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. So what happened is that my deep is a dynamic position. You must know your deep. You must know what is my deep number. What is the number for me? What is the number that I need to get to? What is the asset that I need to create? And that's why they call me the king, because all about, now the king that is not competing with the king. All right, so the point is, it has to be that understanding. And know the kind of work you're doing. Make sure that it's not the wrong work, and make sure that your work is leading you to wealth. The moment any entrepreneur can do that, because the constant of life is work, but the variables of life is wealth. So many people work, but not everybody gets wealthy. So my advice, because we work so much, and many people work so much and they don't have anything to show for it. And not because God is frowning at them, but they just need to change their ways.